I'm here, y'all. I made it. We had some technical difficulties that we've never had before, but that's all right. The devil thought he had it today. No, you don't, because we're here, and this is a situation that we're going to tackle tonight with Miss Juliet Wise. For some reason, she could not hear me. Can you guys hear me? Just put a thumbs up if you can hear me. If you can hear me, just say thumbs up. Hey, let your girl know, Tiffany, because this is Tiffany Talks, where real conversations happen each and every Monday and Wednesday, where you are a part of the conversation. And just give me a heads up that you can hear me. Okay? Because we've been having some technical difficulties. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. See, somebody was listening to me. Well, first of all, mental health, guys. This is something that I really, really want to attack. This is something that I really want to talk about because I see a problem in today's society. A lot of people, I don't even get mad at people because what I realize now, it might not be that person. They might be having a hard time, a hard day, and stuff. And people really go through things, right? So that's me. But what I do realize, the thing that's really not talked about is mental health. And we need to keep tackling these conversations because they are deep within our society, not just the world, but especially as an African American. I mean, look at all the social injustice. Do you think that makes us feel peaceful? Absolutely not. That can mess with your mental health. And you might have triggers by watching those videos and you don't even know that they are there. So you might need to talk to somebody because who knows what you're feeling. It says check on your strong friends. Because a lot of times, if you're that friend, it might be that friend that's there for everybody else. But sometimes you got to be there for that friend that's there for everybody else. Right? Right. So this is a video. I want you guys to do something for me because sharing is caring, right? I want you to go to the YouTube channel. Look for your girl, Tiffany Talks, and go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Because like I said, if you want real conversations to keep coming your way, I need to know that, hey, just press subscribe, like the video, share the video, because you never know who you're going to help. If you find something useful, and if you don't find nothing that resonates, I'm sorry. This is my YouTube channel. So hopefully somebody else. But if this video resonates with you and you feel like somebody else can use this video, do your girl a favor and share it, right? Right. So tonight, ladies, let me just give you a brief of who we have coming before us. It's Miss Juliet Wise. Miss Juliet Wise is from Huntsville, Alabama, and I know her personally. So a lot of people, just because I know you personal, don't mean that it is something that they really have to say to the world. But this young woman, I know counseling comes within her spirit because she doesn't even know. Sometimes when she talks, she turned into a counselor. Well, Tiffany, this is the way you should do it. I'm like, yeah, girl, tell me what I should be doing. You know, the right things. You know, it's too many people telling us to do the wrong things. But you always admire those people that's just trying to make a change. And if it's with mental health, if it starts there, I salute them. If you're talking about situations that I see in my family and a lot of families that we don't want to talk about, is always the elephant in the room. It's not just enough to say, oh, it's something wrong with them. Oh, it's something wrong. Maybe them need help. Maybe you need to direct them to the resource. Never tell a person the problem without giving them what? A solution. We're here. We give solutions. We don't keep talking about problems. All right. So let me read a little bit about Miss Juliet Wise because I like this little bio, you know. So Juliet said, this uncertain and unplanned and unwanted experience often produces feelings of abandonment, guilt, self-consciousness, and loneliness. We often feel tarnished, cheated, and robbed. However, the secret lies in you. I'm simply here to help you unveil it. She said she here to help us, y'all. She here to help us. As a therapist, I specialize in challenging you to begin the journey of becoming the best you. You got to salute that. I am a compassionate, y'all, but direct therapist. You need that too. You need somebody to tell you the truth. Providing a safe environment. She just say she providing an environment. She gonna provide a safe environment for men, for women seeking support with sexual abuse. We need it, and assault, depression, stress, anxiety, relationship issues, self-esteem, emotional regulation. And this is her company name at Journey to New Beginnings. That's awesome. And I don't want to say any more because I want to bring to you Miss Juliet Wise, and let's talk about things. It is okay to get help. Okay. So, but before she comes on, guys, we're going to have a contest. And if you hold tight, I'm going to tell you the contest that Tiffany Talks is sponsoring. So you got to stick close because you're going to have to hear the rules for the contest. Okay. So that's what you got to get. All right. So I'm bringing to the stage Miss Juliet Wise. Hi, Juliet. I am doing fine. How are you? I can't hear you at all.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
They heard you on the phone. Can you hear me now?
I can.
You
on the
can hear
phone.
me? On the phone. Yeah, we having technical difficulties, but we worked it out. Okay. So, Miss Juliet, can you please just tell us where you're from?
I am from Huntsville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised here. I attended Oakwood Academy, and this is home for me.
And can you turn down your phone, Miss Juliet?
Sure can. How about that?
Yes. Sorry, work with us tonight because I don't know why she cannot hear me. So you're from Huntsville, Alabama, Miss Juliet. Can you tell me what made you go into counseling?
What made me go into counseling? All right, is this volume okay, Tiffany? Okay. So a little bit about that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get into focus because I can hear my voice echoing, but as long as you can hear me, that's important. Can you guys hear me? They can hear me? Okay. And so, is that better? Yay, good. Okay. Because it was distracting me. I couldn't even say what I was trying to say. Okay. So a little bit about going into counseling. So I was raised here in Huntsville. I have a lot of friends here in Huntsville. I've grown up here and I've experienced a lot of things in my personal life. One of the things that I have experienced is my own form of trauma. And in experiencing my trauma, I have grown understanding of what people need. I work specifically in sexual trauma and work with women issues. And so growing up, I've always been, like Tiffany said, I guess I haven't really known, but naturally I am a caring person, and I always attempt to help my friends in the things that I do. And so I guess originally, grew up at Oakwood Academy. I had a friend who was dealing with some things. She had a hard time, had a child early on in life. And I watched her struggle through the things that she had to experience, but do it, what is the word? Valiantly. I don't know if that's a word or not, but she did an amazing job. But I watched the struggle as she went through it, and it hurt me to see the lack of support. I also dealt with my own stuff, where I felt like there was not people there to hear who I was. They saw my aggression. They saw the way I spoke, but they didn't see me. And so I went into this area because I often feel that people are not seen. And I feel like I have the ability to sit with them because of my own experiences.
So what do you think that this is a conversation that's not talked about enough?
I think that it's not talked about enough in our community. I think oftentimes Black people, specifically us, we become afraid to go into counseling because we think we're going to be put in some box, or we're going to be crazy, or something's going to be wrong with us. And so we won't take the time we need. To go to therapy because of that fear, right? And so my desire is to help people to know that everybody deals with stuff. We all have a story. And the thing is, when we're not in counseling, that's really when we're dealing with the most problems, because we're keeping it inside, because often that's what we're taught to do. Keep everything in the house, keep everything silent, keep everything to yourself, be a strong Black woman, but we're not taught to release.
And you know what I found out, Juliet, and just let me know when you can't hear me. But what I found out, Juliet, that a lot of times people, all they need is to really talk to somebody, because if you're hurting inside, you seem to bleed out on everything that hurts you. You understand? You always have this defense up that everybody coming at you, you know? So I really suggest, like, I didn't know how much that I needed to talk to a counselor through grief. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And what I went for one thing for grief, but it brought out so many other things that really released me.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't even know that was trauma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Tiffany, that's huge, right? That's a huge thing that people don't realize. They don't realize the freedom that comes from the therapy. The freedom that comes from being in therapy, because the thing is, trauma sets in, anxiety sets in from the build up of experiences, emotions, like you just talked about, your grief, your hurt, your pain, trauma, all of that anxiety builds up in there, and then it comes out in our bodies. It comes out in how we experience life. Yeah, in our words, right? It comes out in those ways, and we don't understand why we're responding like disruptively or whatever it is. We don't understand because we're not dealing, and we don't understand the purpose of dealing and the freedom that comes in speaking my story, because when I hold on to it, my body takes score. And so I just keep carrying it with me.
Right. So definitely, when I think about, like, just by like thinking that these things don't matter, because like you said, it's this cliche, especially in African Americans. If you go see a counselor, whatever they say, shrink, I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but you go see them, oh, you crazy. But at this point, with all that, I feel like it's almost crazy not to go see one, because we are dealing with trauma on it just by looking at something that's traumatic. Let's talk about all these kids are getting killed and people by police brutality. That's like a trigger for me. I hate watching those videos. So I sometimes don't watch it. But because it's like, oh my God, who could do that? Why would you do that? And then you don't understand that it's doing something to your mental. If you keep seeing this over time, either you're getting used to it or it's I don't know, but it seems like trauma every time. You understand? How do you tell people, African American or whoever, or minorities, period? How does that go, Juliet? You're the expert. How does that go?
Well, Tiffany, you're right. It is trauma, right? Trauma is it's an experience that is distressing for us. I'm going to turn this light off right here. I think I feel like I like it better. But trauma is a stressful experience for us, right? And it's so distressing that it impacts our minds, it impacts our memories, and it impacts our experiences. Each time we see our boys, our children, our fathers, our uncles, our people getting hurt or killed or in a distressful situation, we experience that in our bodies, right? And so it is extremely traumatic, and it's important for us to understand how much we can take. Oftentimes, we don't know that it's okay to have a balance between how much information you're going to allow yourself to take in, how much you're going to observe, because your eyes are like a camera. They're a snapshot, and they sit inside of you,
And because we back for a mutant. But you know what was really, like, I knew that it was really serious because I can't watch a lot of movies with violence anymore. Like a lot of movies with violence. Like, I used to be able just to watch this stuff. I can't watch that anymore because it's like life is traumatic enough. So even those be like little triggers of things that, different things that you see. You could be watching the show and people don't even know you could be replaying a situation in your own mind. You understand what I'm saying? So I agree. Next, people, when you talk about trauma, I'm just going to say this. One time last year, it was a day, and I was really, really happy this day. And in the middle of the morning, I began to just start bawling, crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what was going on. It was the exact time that I heard the passing of my cousin, and I looked at the time on the date,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, and I didn't even think about it at that time until the day, and somebody said something, and I was like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like attached to our DNA. And that's when this was like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized then, sis, you really need to ask God to heal those spots that you don't even know that's broken.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I realized trauma is that, like, it knows the day, it knows the time, even if you don't even address it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
That trauma in your DNA.
Yeah. And you're right, Tiffany. A big thing is, there's a book called The Body Takes Score. And that is a really, really good book that I like to read for myself, for my own information. And that feeling that you have is so weird. We could be in a certain period of time, or the weather or a smell can remind us of an experience, a traumatic experience, a loss. You know what I'm saying? And so oftentimes when we're not aware of that, we don't know why our mood just shifted all of a sudden. We don't know why we're all of a sudden sad. We don't know why we're all of a sudden hyper vigilant or feeling like on edge, or like something's going to get us, because our body has taken score. And oftentimes our brain doesn't remember, but our body does. When we try to survive trauma, a lot of times our survival instinct is to remove the memory, right? And so sometimes people will remove the memory and it'll be sitting in the back of their mind, but they don't know why they have like forms of seizures where they're in a daze, or, they might just be angry. A lot of times we think that people are just angry people. No, these people have experienced trauma. This is the way they respond.
Yeah, right. And you're saying that, but that's where I think a lot of times when people respond into something that I'm not saying, you think I'm saying it because that trauma and that trigger make your mind. And that's why now I really stop talking out of my emotions, because you do have to deal with your stuff. Mm-hmm. It is not up to nobody in this world to set you free, but you and God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Right. It's not nobody's responsibility. And when you know that, when you understand that, you'll go get the help you need. It's not a responsibility for you to be in good health. It's not no responsibility for you to be happy. It's you and God.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You understand?
That's right.
So you go on. I ain't the kind of.
No, you're right, too. You're speaking the truth, though, because when we take accountability for ourselves, that's everything, right? Mm-hmm. When I recognize that, when I speak out of my emotions, when I'm speaking out of my experience, like I could be mad at you or not like you and not even know why. And then when I realize there's something in your personality, there's something that you're carrying that is a trigger for me or a reminder for me of something else, but I'm letting it out on you and it has nothing to do with you. I'm upset with you. I'm upset with the environment. I'm upset with life because I am unhappy, and I've had experiences that have caused me to be distrusting in the environment. But until we recognize that I got to get right with me, if I'm seeing a consistent pattern in my behavior and it's showing up with everybody that comes in contact with me, it ain't them. Mm-hmm. It's me. Right. And so I've got to pay attention to what's happening. If every time I'm popping off or I'm falling into tears or whatever my experience is, I've got to know it's something bigger. No, this is not just my personality that I cry often. It's not just my personality that I get angry. It's not just my personality that I black out when I'm mad. No, there's a reason why.
Right. And I think a lot of times because we are not, how can I put this? A lot of people hang around people, but they don't be, truthful. And sometimes when you're truthful, they take it as, why are you attacking? You can't, if you always think of somebody attacking you, you need to go do some work in the inside. Mm-hmm. You understand? You have to be able to, I say this every day to somebody. I'm like, you have to be able to have conversations without emotion. We ain't got to yell at each other. We can talk to each other because we're human beings. Mm-hmm. But what I start realizing, why I no longer take it personal, because I know it's things out here on people's back. You understand? Mm-hmm. I do realize it's hurting people hurt people.
Yeah. Exactly. And you're right. If I take your experience of me as a personal attack. Especially now, I do think it's important that I always pay attention to the track record of someone who is trying to give me constructive criticism, right? Because if you are not someone that I trust and I love,
that's true,
then I may not take your constructive criticism to be with good intent because I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so oftentimes I think people step out of their place in what constructive criticism they decide to give.
Right.
Because they don't, and they don't have bad intentions all the time, but it's important to assess, is this person, the person on the other end that may see they need help, is this person in a position to where they can hear me? If they're not in a position to hear me, am I doing more bad or good seeking to give them counsel?
Exactly. That's a good thought, because that is very true. And you have to understand, first of all, you have to understand what you're willing to do and what you're willing to handle. When you understand that, like, say we're friends, if you're friends, you should be able to have some truthful conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Strangers, because I used to have this thing at church, everybody be like, God told me. And I would say, Juliet, I would say that. If God told you, sis, he should have told me too.
And he should have told you not to come over here. Because
they good. God told me.
God didn't tell you nothing. God did not tell you to come over here. Because if God told you to come over here, then there might have been a different experience. And you're right, though, Tiffany, when you say, I feel like people should know. Well, I don't want to say should. I hate to use the word should. Yeah. In different experiences, you hope that you're able to trust, right? And so then you're not taking it as an automatic attack. But if you're a person who's dealt with stuff, even your friends will become the enemy. And that's what I have had to learn over time.
What you just say? Say it again.
If you're a person who's dealt with stuff, your friends will even become the enemy, because you don't trust yourself. And so if you have someone trying to give you counsel, especially someone loves you, has no bad intent, but you take it as an attack or feel some type of way, then that's something within you that you got to research and find out. Because if you don't trust the people closest to you, that means you don't trust nobody, and that means you don't trust yourself.
That's true.
That's
deep. That's very true. But I feel like the more people, because it's so many things, when I really start talking to people, it's so much they've dealt with, even within myself. And like, again, I keep saying that it be so much trauma that you don't even understand that you act without the nature that you've been or the environment that you've been. Not just the good things you saw, the bad things you saw. And a lot of times we just got to clean up as adults. We got to sometime erase and start all back over, not from scratch, but from what you know today.
Exactly. And we have to give ourselves permission to know that it's okay, right? To be a little bit compassionate with ourselves and understand that it's okay that if we've had whatever it is, if we've had negative ways of communicating, negative ways of being in relationship with people, negative ways, whatever. It doesn't even have to be negative. Negative is a strong word. Unhealthy ways. You know what I'm saying? We have to be able to be compassionate with ourselves to know that it's okay if these are the ways that I was functioning within my unhealthy space. And now in going to therapy, I just learned how to function in a healthier way. And as I learn to treat myself well, I be compassionate with myself, then I teach other people how to treat me, because now I love myself enough to know how to do that. And
you said a lot there, Juliet. Loving yourself. It's going to be easy to love everybody else, even beyond their faults.
Say that last part again.
When you love yourself, it's going to be easier to love everybody else, even beyond their imperfections. Because if you can accept self, even though people don't want to put you, probably the biggest project out here. Okay? You're the project, like you, me. When I look here, I'm the project.
Yes.
So what I say is, when I get my mental health in order, because when I've been through a lot of traumatic stuff, I realize at that point, if anything happens around me, like
Mm-hmm.
what happens on the outside of me,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
happens on the inside of me, when you
Mm-hmm.
find peace
Yes.
and healing,
Yes.
that's on me.
Exactly.
My peace is everything right now. Like it's
Exactly.
something that I'm not willing to give it off. I'm like,
Exactly.
look, you got it. You win. You gonna have to say you got it and you win and thumbs up a couple of times in
Oh,
life.
yay.
You win.
But you're
Yeah.
right, though, Tiffany. You're right, because when you find that peace within you, you're no longer seeking it outside of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when I am now peaceful within, I'm not, my life is changing in how I'm showing up in relationships. It's showing up in how I'm showing up as a parent, as a mother, as an
You
employee.
better speak.
Because peace within allows me to experience life in a totally different way. Because now I understand why I'm offended by the way you look at me. Now I understand why I'm worried about you and and I'm experiencing a need for approval. Now I understand where my disconnects are, whether it's my daddy issues, my mommy issues, my sexual abuse, my physical abuse, my emotional abuse, whatever it is, or my just dysfunctional life I grew up within. Now I have a different understanding of my experience. And so that now I'm experiencing life in a different way. And it's not everybody else. You not the problem. He not the problem. Everybody at the church ain't the problem.
Right.
I'm now understanding myself.
You know what? You saying some good stuff. I'm about to make this public. Hold on.
You got
These folks used to me up here. Why did they keep watching? You know I'm about to bring the real car. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, because that's some good stuff. Y'all need to share this with the whole world. Y'all want to help set some people free. Set them free mentally and their physical what happened. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm so serious about this conversation because it's like an elephant in the room whenever you talk about mental health and people want to say Aunt Susie or cousin Lynn, these people, but what they've been through is trauma. I have all types of story in my family and I understand. I'm not saying they the way they are, but until they get the help that they need, the healing that they need, they're going to continue to function.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing too, Tiffany. I think oftentimes like we're willing to take medication for our diabetes. We're willing to take medication for our cholesterol. We're willing to treat our cancer. We're willing to treat other diseases, but for some reason, we're not willing to treat our minds.
You bet. Juliet.
And our minds is what keep our physical body healthy.
That it keeps your what healthy?
Physical body healthy.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand that. I was like, I could be looking, be, in the best top-notch shape, but if this mind raggedy, you ain't gonna change your life until you change your mindset.
That's right. That's right.
You understand? Because the mind goes before the body.
Mm-hmm.
People, I said, if you're able to silence your mind, Juliet, you'll be able to win on this life because this is a mind game.
Exactly.
Rob our minds.
Exactly.
Guard the avenues of your what?
Mind.
That's right. God only gave you one commandment in the Bible. He said what? Believe. That's all he really told y'all to do is believe. But all this other stuff that people, but when I tell people to do that one thing, but see, if I could take your mind, you cannot create.
Yeah.
If I take your mind, you would not create relationships. You would not create income. You would not create stability. Your life. I'm bringing her here because it's not that I think we need it. I know this platform needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's me included.
Me too.
Everybody needs it.
Right. Right. And if we would make it a norm to get help, we would make it a norm. Hey, Chaz, to be in a space of freedom, then we would experience things in a different way. You know what I mean? Because as we make it a norm, then we're able to help each other and nobody has to feel like something is wrong with me. You know?
And very true, Chastity. Thank you for it. Y'all can talk back. Very, very true. All of it's true. Keisha says so true. That is so true because people don't understand, you can cure, and I'm not gonna say cure, but you can make your symptoms better. I forgot we're on YouTube. You can make your symptoms better. If you learn how to silence your mind, I gave you a secret.
Mm-hmm.
You can create some stuff, everything, faith, manifestation, whatever you want. It's
Mm-hmm.
your what?
Mine. That's right. That's
So
right.
if this mind is sick, everything you touch is gonna be sick.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right, Tiffany. And I think that it begins with us given permission, talking about it more, sitting around our family tables and talking about, like, I'm a therapist and I have a therapist, right? Because in this time period, although yes, God is blessing my business. I mean, when he says that he will, what is the text about? And I'm not a Bible scholar, so don't judge me. But he will make your cup run over. He's running my cup over.
That's right up for y'all church. Nobody's a Bible scholar. We're good at living, okay? All right.
And I love Jesus and he loves me. But he's blessing me in abundant ways in my business right now. However, in the midst of that, I have to take care of my mind. Mm-hmm. Because I hear a lot of people's pain right now. I experience and listen to a number of people's pain in the midst of a lot. We have all kind of foolishness going on. We've got the pandemic. We got people dying. We have people dying in traumatic ways. We have our people dying. We have people that look like our brothers, our sisters, our aunties. There's so much happening. Relationships are being impacted. Marriages are being impacted. Parenting, abuse is increasing. All kind of stuff is happening in the world. And as a therapist, I hear a lot of that daily. And so I have to even be intentional about taking care of myself. Understanding that, yes, I can work all day and make all the money in the world. But if I work all day and take all of that in, then what do I have left for me and my child and people?
Right. And I don't know, it was like a video or something on TikTok. I don't know. It's probably a saying or a poem. But every time I listen to it, it resonates different. It's like it was saying you can find a house, but you can't find a home. You can find a bed, but you can't, it doesn't pay for rest. You can find this. And it just kept going on, the analogies of basic explaining how peace of mind is everything.
Yes.
People, it's underrated, but it's priceless. Because you can't lie about peace. You understand? It's a thing that you never want to lose, Juliet. I'm just like,
you don't
understand how long I haven't been in peace until I found peace. And
exactly.
I found it that I'm not going to give it away to anybody.
That's right. And like our parents used to say, you know how they used to say in church, thanking God for waking me up with a sound mind, right? When we think about that now, that is a prayer that is beyond important. Our minds, anybody can lose their mind. See, that's the other thing that we struggle with. We think, oh, that person is over there. They just didn't know. Anybody can lose their mind.
What you say?
Anybody can lose their mind.
Situation. Okay.
Right. Because the thing about it is when we don't deal, we're setting ourselves up to lose our mind. Because eventually it's like a volcano. I like to explain it as a volcano or a soda bottle. You know how you can shake up a soda bottle, and if you take it off while you shake it, it's going to explode. That's like our brains. Right. If you don't deal with your stuff, eventually it's going to come out. Whether it's when you're a senior and you have nothing to do but to be still, whether it's now when we have nothing to do but to be still, because we're not able to be as mobile as we used to and as busy, it's going to come up. So it's a matter of when you decide to allow yourself to deal with it, because regardless, it's there. It's not gone. Right? And so we have to understand that. Like, we have to understand that we have to be careful of our minds. We have to pay attention to our headaches. We have to pay attention to our blood pressure. We have to pay attention to the numbness we feel. Or like, I used to get angry often and get into arguments. And I started realizing, wait a minute, my face feels tense. I'm not trying to be looking half-faced, or, you know what I'm saying, and get paralyzed on one side because I let you get me mad. Ain't no way.
And you know what? You look so beautiful when you smile. You know how
that's thanks, Tiffany.
Smile. I just love to see women smile because
You got a pretty smile too.
Very smiling because it's like that's the light and that's the beauty that I feel like every person should carry. If all I have to give you is my smile,
That's right.
I gave you something.
That's right. That's right. And you're right. And your smile is beautiful, Tiffany, too. And I feel like you're right, though. Because if all I have to do is give you my smile, if all I have to do is give you my positive energy, if all I have to do is not respond when you do something sideways, if all I have to do is just keep living in my space of peace because it's going to be contagious for you, then I'm willing.
That's deep.
Right? Because people can shift us. But if I decide to take control of my life, they can't shift me.
They can't do what, sis?
They can't shift me.
All right. Say it again for that.
They can't shift me, honey.
Period.
Right. Right.
I like your affirmation. They can't. Mine is that I cannot be moved.
That's right.
I'm going to add that too. Okay, Julia. I'm going to give you credit. Okay. They can't shift.
So silly,
I give credit. I'll be like, okay, I need that quote. I'm gonna give you the credit, all right?
You're so silly.
Because guess what? This mind can create more.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because this mind is creating and the mind is free. And you saying that, Tiffany, that's huge too. What we don't realize is when we deal with our trauma, our brain is literally blocked up, right? And so our brain is blocked up from our trauma, right? And I'm going to answer, Cheryl. When our brain is blocked up from our trauma, we are having a difficult time thinking. We can't even remember, right? Mm-hmm. And so as we learn to deal, it's crazy how I've seen when my patients work through their trauma, your brain starts opening up and you start remembering experiences, positive experiences, because the brain is so beyond powerful. And as you heal, the brain heals and it experiences life in a different way. It enjoys life, things you never thought were possible. And so that's the excitement that I find in being a therapist, watching that transformation happen, because I know it's possible because it's happened for me, right? And so, Cheryl, your question is, what advice can you give someone who is on the fence about coming to talk to someone about their issues?
Hold on 1 second, but please send in your questions. We have about 5 more. Please send in your questions for Juliet if you have questions about this while she's going. But she'll tell you all. But go on. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry, Tiffany.
Go on.
Tell me if I'm doing wrong.
No. I just want people to send their questions in. I want people to send their questions in so that you can see it.
Okay. So what advice I would give them, thank you, if they're on the fence about coming to talk to someone is, what do you want? That's what I often ask my patients when they're resistant. What do you want? Do you want to stay in the space you're in? What do you want to experience? Do you think it's possible for you to experience a level of freedom? Because I can't do nothing with them if they're not ready, right? And often I tell my patients, it's up to you. I'm not in a rush because this is not a race, it's a marathon. Right. And so I'm not in a rush to get you anywhere. So the question I would ask them to ask themselves, not to prove to anybody else, because often people get caught up in what someone else thinks. But if they sit within themselves and they look in the mirror and they say, what do you want to feel? Are you tired? Do you want to experience something else? And then once they ask themselves that question, then they have to ask themselves, well, what am I willing to do about it? And so then when they do that, then they have to challenge themselves, because often we stay sick. We stay sick in our maladaptive ways because we're uncomfortable. But am I uncomfortable enough to get up and do something about it?
That's the part.
I hope that answers the question.
Hopefully that answers your question, Cheryl. And that was a very, very good question, because oftentimes I think I have a question because sometimes, well, like you said, I don't just to like strangers. Oh, let me tell you. But oftentimes what I saw is basically what her question, if something is, you feel uncomfortable about something and you're trying to express, and people get mad when you're trying to tell them that part that you might be included in, like, you have to, I kind of feel what she's saying in a way, because it's like I don't know. I want people to have truthful conversations with me. So I guess that goes back to you dealing with your own stuff. So when people talk to you, it doesn't offend you. Like even if it just doesn't offend me anymore. I used to get very offended back in the day by like why they talking about me like that? Versus I'm really trying to tell you because I care about you or you understand what I'm saying. And that would be mostly like people that was older, because how they would say it too. You get what I'm saying? But now that I'm growing, even when my mom talks, I might not agree with all of it, but I understand from the place it came. It came from her experience, right? So I respect it.
Yeah. And most times we're not ready, and it's okay not to be ready. Even if the people on the outside or the people surrounding you feel like she should be. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it's okay that we're not ready, and oftentimes what I try to do is I try my best not to lean on the advice and giving them, but leave the door open to put it back on them. What do you want to be able to feel? Because oftentimes you may have friends or even family who want to continue to talk to you about a repetitive issue, a repetitive pain they continue to experience. And so then the question becomes, are you comfortable in your pain? Because that's okay too. But I need you to be okay with being okay that you're comfortable in your pain. I don't want to be comfortable in your pain though. That's not where I live anymore. And so if you're comfortable in your pain, just acknowledge that I'm comfortable in my pain right now and I'm not ready to do anything about it. That's okay too. Right?
And you know what? You said something that was so deep. This seemed like my whole conversation. I'm sorry, y'all. This is Tiffany Talks. But you said something when people are comfortable in their pain. I have definitely didn't leave friendships because of I don't like you as a friend. Think you're an awesome person, but your trauma is too much for me to handle because I have my own trauma, right? And so it goes back, are you comfortable in your pain? Who wants to keep seeing somebody in pain? You see what I'm saying? So sometimes you might leave those situations because you see them experience this and it's kind of going off triggers. How do you even, because people have this thing like, it's me. Or maybe it might be the pain that you're allowed to, that's applying to your life. And I can't watch you be in pain like that.
That's right.
Because people, I don't think that, because that's like a level of maturity to say it really, maybe it's your whole situation. You understand? And after a while, I'm like I told one of my friends this, and she probably looking at me. I said, we're not going to talk about this next year. We're going to have new problems because you can't call my phone. And that was just a clear boundary, right? She laughed at me because we're that type of friend. Yeah. You got it. And guess what? We ain't never talked about it again.
That's right. And that's what the word you hit right there is boundaries, right? Oftentimes when we're dealing with codependency, we think we're being a bad person for saying no or placing boundaries up, right? It doesn't make me a bad person because I want to put a boundary up. Now, you may be uncomfortable with my boundary, but if we're truly meant to be friends and we have this love within this relationship, eventually we'll be okay. Because going back to my track record, you know that I love you and I care for you. However, I'm not willing to make your crisis my crisis.
Right.
I'm willing to be there for you. I'm willing to hear you. But I need you to care enough about me too to know that I can't carry your story in my story. And so when I go and I refer you to a counselor or someone, that doesn't mean that I'm doing that out of a lack of love. I'm doing it out of loving me more and then loving you too by trying to provide you something. So Cheryl, you said, what about if, can I go ahead and answer that question, Tiffany?
Absolutely.
What about the stigma? Okay. What about the stigma placed on seeking help? Especially in the Black community, especially in the Black community, how do you see us changing the stigma of therapy is not for us? Talking about it. Because when people start seeing seeing the benefits because they see our experiences, most of the time, Cheryl, it's like we have to model what that experience has done. for us. Because of the generations of distrust within the Black families, the Black home, because of things that we've experienced in this society going back, and we could go into a whole conversation about that. We don't trust certain systems. We don't really trust any systems. And so as we have our experiences, then we're able to show people that there's freedom and healing. And that's why I don't have any problem sitting and talking about my story, talking about what I've been through, talking about where I'm going, what I go through now. Because when I tell my story, my testimony is a witness to somebody else to know that there's hope on the other end. I don't have to stay miserable. I don't have to stay in dysfunctional situations, defensive, scared, angry, mad. I don't have to. And so the way we change the stigma is we talk about it and we challenge conversations, especially in our older generations. We challenge it.
We do. And so Keisha said, you have to set those boundaries. Yeah, Keisha, that's my best friend right there. Keisha, now you have to set those boundaries. I've been talking about that for you. You have to set boundaries, honey, because if you don't,
them boundaries are everything.
That's like having a house with no door on it.
There it is. A house with no fence right there on the cliff.
And you just got access to everybody. You shouldn't be accessible to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a hard time. She said, I have a hard time picking it. I know I love everybody, but you shouldn't be accessible to everybody.
Yeah. No, you can't be.
Mm-hmm. And
you can't be, because ultimately that's not love. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, good. I hope that answered the question well. But that's not love. And oftentimes we think that yes is love, but it's not. It's enabling. If our no's and our boundaries is more love than we recognize. And so when I'm saying no and I'm setting boundaries, and and not only am I loving you, but I'm teaching you how to love me.
That's true. And who's the better teacher of how to love you than you? Yeah. All right. And then Keisha's going, she's talking this a lot. Keisha said that is so true. I'm so glad you ladies are talking about this. And Cheryl definitely said this is great information. It is a much needed conversation because I definitely want you to come back and attack some more serious conversations dealing with mental health. I'm not going to say it right now because I'm not ready for that part because it's very sensitive. It's very sensitive. It's a topic that we need to talk about. And it might be some triggers for some people. So I definitely, when that show comes on, I would definitely give you a trigger warning. You understand? But it's going to be a conversation because it has been a part of my life. And talk about it. We're not going to talk about names, but since it's out there, we're going to talk about it. So, and I'm bringing therapist Juliet back and a couple of other people. We're going to need some people. We're going to need some therapists, honey. We're going to need some therapists. We're going to need some therapists for the therapists. Okay, it's going to be one deep conversation. So you hold tight because it's real conversation. But Juliet, this conversation we needed to have so much because it's so much stuff. And what do you talk about? Just one more thing. Look, I feel like I have to pay you for my time. Well, one more thing.
I'm sorry.
One more thing about mental health in this pandemic, and we can go on and wrap this up because you got to come back. You got to come back for a part 2. I don't know when, but they're asking questions. So, what do you think about this pandemic and mental health with back to the things of what's going on? We're watching social injustice. We're all these things. We're locked in. We can't move around. What are you experiencing out there as a counselor?
What am I experiencing out here? Everything.
As a therapist.
As a therapist, everything. Death. I said death. Death is a big one. Pain myself, right? Because as a therapist, I've lost people too, And so to take care of yourself and then talk to people who have lost, it's hard. It humanizes you in a different way. And sometimes I allow myself to let the tears flow because that's what God gave us tear ducts for, right? They're not supposed to be stopped up. So there's death, there's pain, there's loss, there's adjustments, there's new developments of health problems as a result of COVID. This is impacting people's jobs, careers, families, dysfunction in their physical bodies as a result of COVID, unexpected health issues, the death of our people, our men.
Yeah.
Our children are dealing with socialization issues, anxiety, depression. They got all this social media.
Education system, all of it. So give me, before you leave, what are some quick ways, just very quick, because they're going to have to come to you for a session. What are some quick tips to just relieve yourself of anxiety through all that's going, because that's a lot of stuff. Our plate is full with stuff. So you got to really find peace out here because it's full with junk out in the world. But how do you find peace within? What are some ways to find that peace until we get to talking to a therapist in your local area or Juliet? What are some ways?
Well, some ways to find peace is cut off the TV, cut off Facebook, cut off Instagram, change the conversation, put the boundaries in place. Sometimes we think that if I decide not to be a part of this protest, or if I decide not to watch the George Floyd trial the whole way through, or if I decide not to listen to your pain on the other end of the phone, that I'm not being Black enough, that I'm not supporting enough. No, I have to take care of myself to continue to survive as a Black woman. Right. So the first thing is decide how much you're going to take into this computer system, because this system is calculating everything. When we scroll, all that stuff is being calculated in our mind. Cut it off. Right. And I'm not saying we have to do it forever, but decide what you're going to allow into your brain. The second thing is find some time for stillness. Oftentimes I'll sit and breathe and turn on music without words. Instrumentals. Teach your brain how to slow down. Create a routine for sleep. When you go to sleep, decide it. I like incense. Light your candle. My daughter sells candles. I'm gonna just put that plug Journey's Dream Lights. But create a space.
This your show, sis. This your song tonight. This your song for this segment.
Create a space to calm your mind and to be still. Recognize that you don't always have to be stimulated by people. Recognize that you can't help everybody. Because all of that is coming in and it's distracting your mind and it's impacting your anxiety. Meditation. I don't know that everybody believes in meditation. I believe in meditation. I believe in stilling your mind. Right. Be still. Let your mind be still. Breathe. Breathing is huge. Learn how to breathe in through your nose, out through your nose. Yoga, exercise. Exercise is huge. Exercise is like medicine. It can almost be like your lorazepam or your anxiety medication. Exercise is huge.
Hold 1 second, because I don't think they realize it. I've been doing yoga for 5 years. It's changed my whole life.
Yes.
It has changed my whole way of thinking. I created things with my mind because I silenced it. Me and God. Yes.
Yes.
These are priceless things that you can do for free.
Exactly.
But it'll cost you, it'll be priced. Okay, go on, back.
I'm sorry. And a lady brought to my attention in the women's conference I attended the other week that she does scriptural meditation. So she'll pick a scripture and she'll pick words out of that particular scripture, whatever you're working against. Fear is a big thing right now. If you're working against fear, look for different scriptures directly related to fear. And be still in that place of meditation, even if it's just one word within it. I won't. Even if it's trust, it's being still and breathing in and out trust. Be still your mind with anxiety, depression, talk about it, get help. Understand that I'm not meant to handle it on my own. Yes, God is a God that can do everything, but there are also people like me who have been put in place to help you along that journey. We're not meant to carry it on our own. And oftentimes I think that that's what we've been taught. Going back to what Cheryl was saying earlier, we have to understand that that was the wrong way. Bottom line.
Mhm.
We have not been taught the way that is the healthiest way to deal. Although we have survived, we can't say it was wrong how our people have survived throughout time. But now we understand a new way. So when we know something, what is it? When you know different, you do different. Is that how you say it?
When you know better, you do better.
You do better. And so we have to do better.
You know, I have a lot of old folks saying, you know better, you do better. Your grandma used to say that when you know better, you do better. What
Yeah.
you don't know, you don't know. But once you know that, then you know. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
No, you're not in the know. So what we do know is everybody needs to talk to somebody they trust. They need a safe place. And we thank you for coming and blessing this platform. We will be bringing Miss Juliet Wise back. Please tell these lovely people where they can follow you at on Instagram, Facebook, and how to get to your Instagram page.
Okay. So you can follow me on Instagram. And it's funny because I'm trying to figure out my name. I think it's Juliet J2NB on Instagram. And you can follow me on Instagram. I try to provide content on mental health and just real conversations about what we're dealing with. As I said earlier, I primarily deal with trauma, sexual trauma in specific, sexual intimacy issues once you've dealt with your trauma so that you can realize that you can thrive again after trauma. You don't have to live in that space forever. You can also follow me on Facebook at Journey to New Beginnings Counseling Services. That's Journey to New Beginnings Counseling Services. And you can go on my website at N as in Nancy B.com if you want to set an appointment. You can also find me on Psychology Today. I'm here to serve. I love what I do. Thank you guys.
Well, I thank you for blessing this platform. And she will, after the video goes off, because it's a lot to do, she's going to go in those comments and put all the information. And please, guys, go follow this lovely queen. She has a positive spirit. I know she has healing within her to heal you, whatever you're going through. Now, God heals us, but he uses people out here to direct you. And I appreciate you for coming in. Her name is Golden Sister. That's your name.
That's the private one.
Oh, private. I'm sorry, private. Well, anyways, but I was like, okay, all right. But just go follow this queen. She has pages. She has a page on Instagram, Tiffany S_Carter, and you'll see her in my stories. You'll see her in my stories, and she's gonna put all her information. Thank you, Queen, for blessing this platform.
Thank you.
And it is okay to ask for help. And we thank you that you're a part of the help, that you're changing lives out here in the community. Keep doing great things because it all starts with your what?
Mind. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you. That was fun. That was fun. That was fun. That was fun. But not fun, but that was serious too. But I had a good conversation with Miss Juliet Wise. I thank her for coming on my platform. I thank her for just talking about mental health, mental awareness. Your health matters. Your mental health matters. If your mind is disturbed, it's hard to get things done. So I brought it here because that's a part of my journey of just talking to somebody, talk about those things that bother you. And if you cannot get help, if it's I don't care what you think about suicide, depression, please reach out. You can reach out to me. I'll point you. I have a lot of psychologists, therapists on my line. I have a lot of counselors. I have a lot of advocates for domestic violence. I have a lot of advocates for sexual assault on my line. So I am a safe place. Tiffany Talks. DM me if you need help with assistance or anything, because we would never want to know that somebody that I seen every day on my timeline is getting victimized in any type of way. So with that, thank you again, guys. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel because I love that you love my comments and send me all those nice, wonderful messages, but you have to share it in your caring, and you can definitely save a life. And if it might not, it might be somebody in your own family. You'll be surprised. But I thank you, as I do always, for not only supporting me, but always coming and seeing and being a part of these real conversations. And remember, this is Tiffany Talk, where the real conversation absolutely involves you. Have a good night. Oh, I forgot something, y'all. I have a good night. We do have a giveaway, y'all, and I'm gonna put the contest up. DM me for anything. If you have a contest, I'm giving away a seat at Brows by Willie. I'm sponsoring a seat to a henna class. If you want to be a certified henna brow artist, I suggest you go right over to Instagram, follow Brows by Willie. The contest rules are there. So go check out the contest rules. And each and every Wednesday, I will be giving something away. So you have to watch the show. You have to watch the show to know what's going on. Bye, guys. Bye again. One more time. Be great. See you next Monday.